Ooh, that looks tasty.
Your Honor, we, the jury, find Nancy Cowman innocent. Your Honor, we, the jury, find Mary Brownlee innocent of all charges. Your Honor, we, the members of the jury, find Harris Hunter guilty of all charges.
Welcome, folks. Today, The Hungry Gamer is back with another Kickstarter preview. And today, we are talking about Fallen Angels from Side Room Games and designed by John Keane. And before I begin, please make sure you turn on your Klingon subtitles, because if I make any mistakes, that is where you will find the corrections. And do keep in mind that this is still a demo copy and things are subject to change. Now, Fallen Angels is a co-op deduction game in which you are trying to convict various criminals from 1920s Australia. And if you are not at all interested in how this game is played and you just want to jump ahead to my final thoughts, then you're going to want to jump to the timestamp on the screen right now. For those of us still here, let me show you how this game works. Now, I do need to say that I have only played this game at a 2-player count due to shelter in place, and I also have only played this game a few times because this arrived to my house on the day that the Kickstarter actually launched. So this is a bit of a rush review. Do keep all of that in mind. So what you see in front of you are a bunch of cards. And these cards each have a person who was accused of some kind of crime in Australia, and I believe it's the 20s, and maybe. And on the card, in addition to who they are, there are various symbols in the corners. I'll explain how those work in a minute. But what's going to be happening is each player on their turn will be taking one card and revealing the back of the card to the other players. And the other players are going to do their best to help you, if it's your turn, figure out what this symbol is. Now, if you are seeing just a single symbol, you're going to be showing everybody else 2 symbols on the other side, one of which is your symbol. And again, they're going to be trying to help you figure out what the symbol you're not seeing is. Each time, if you're successful, you will either turn the card, flip the card, or convict the suspect. If you are wrong, they get acquitted. If 3 people get acquitted, you have lost. If you convict 12, you have won. Now, I'll talk about these symbols here. I'll explain how it works in just a second, but talk about these symbols. So this one here means you rotate the card 180 degrees. So if I'm holding the card like this, and I have showed this side to all of the other players, and I correctly guess this, then I have a choice. I can either turn the card like that, and now this is what I see, and that is what they would see. Or this symbol means I can flip the card like so, and now this is what I see, and that is what they see. So that is the choice that I have. If you get to this symbol here, that means if you are successful, then you have convicted them and they go to prison. I will explain how that works, but first let me show you how setup is done. Now what's going to happen is, first you're going to remove 1 suspect per player. So in this case, I'm going to do a 2-player game because that's what I know. So I'll remove 2. And they would go into the box and you don't see them. Then you stack all the cards, so the number 3 is at the top left. Then under the table, you shuffle them up, and then you count 12 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and you rotate them. Then you shuffle again. And in the basic game, that's all you do. If you're playing normal or advanced, you have flips and things like that, so you have a greater variety of what it is that you're looking at. Then, once you have done that, you take one of these cards here. And these are integral to the gameplay. You place it on the top, and you count out 12 cards. 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and you hand it to one player like so. That is their deck. They are not supposed to move it, change it, anything. Take another one, put it on top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And that would come to me. Then these other 6 are your informants, and you stack them exactly like that. Now, this is going to be a little bit challenging to show on the camera because there's a lot going on, but I'm going to do my best. So what happens is, on your turn, you pick one of the cards. So just for kicks, I'm going to say Dorothy here, who we're trying to convict of murder. So I would take, and I'm going to show you the back now. I would flip this over, and I'm showing this. This is what everyone sees, that symbol right there. Now I'm just going to put this down like this, so we remember that that is what my other player is seeing. And this is what they're trying to make me guess. And you'll see over here, I'm seeing on my side fingerprints and confession. They're only seeing confession. And you'll see it tells you what everything is right there. And what they're going to do is they're going to look through their cards, and they're looking for any card that on their top left has the confession. So that doesn't, that does, doesn't, 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 doesn't. Well, this is not going to go well for me. Then what they're going to do is using this card, they're going to stack them up with all the ones that have it on this side and all the ones that don't have it on the other side. And they'll fan them out and they will show me. So again, this is what they are seeing. And then on the other side, that is what I am seeing. So you can see this one here has the image on it. And so what I'm doing is I'm trying to deduce what it could possibly be. So I know for sure that it's either the fingerprint or the confession. I know that. And so I'm looking here and I can see that either over here, they're telling me that they have on the other side, either the confession or the fibers. And that is definitely something that they see. And all of these here, they don't see. So what this is telling me right now is actually quite easy, that it must be the confession. That's the only choice I can make because I know that they're not seeing fibers on the other side. Because again, I'm looking at this side and I know it's not fibers. So that actually winds up being really, really easy. So I say, is it a confession? They tell me yes. And then lucky for me, I'm looking at this side, I've succeeded, so now I have a choice. I can either flip it, like so, and those are what I'll be dealing with, or I can rotate it, oops, it was already that way, or I can rotate it to that, and it goes back into my hand. And then it is their turn, we go back and forth. And now this is how the informants work. Let's say I couldn't figure it out. I just didn't know. Well, I could say, does my card show any of these on it? And they could say yes or no. In this case, they would say no, because all they were seeing, again, is that confession. They could say no, and I would look and said, well, I see fibers here. They're saying it's not fibers, so definitely I now am confirmed it is confession, and then I would take that informant and discard that informant. And I could use as many informants as I want, but once they're gone, they are gone. I'll also say at the end of the game, the number of informants that you have left increases your score. And that's it. That's how this game is played. So what do I like about this game? I will say I love the idea of this game. I like this idea that you're showing each other cards and you're trying to figure out, okay, well, they don't see those symbols, but they see those. But at the same time, if they're showing me two symbols, that means they're only seeing one symbol. So they may be throwing me off the trail because they don't realize that on the other side of this card right here, there's actually an eyewitness account. They don't know they're showing me that. Or maybe they do know that and they're trying to show me that because they've seen the other side of their card because they've been flipping back and forth. And it's all this huge puzzle, which is very cool. And I like the idea that we're doing this puzzle together. I also really enjoy the challenge of it. How, okay, I got that one. All right, well, moving on. Now I have to get that one. Yay for me. I got that one. Moving on. Okay, now I have to get that one. Good, I got it. Convicted. Done. I think it's a fun puzzle. I like how the cards work, how they flip, how they turn. I think this here, where you have this, yes, no, this kind of plus minus that you're able to see on the card, so you kind of know what's going on. I think that's very cool. That's very clever. I enjoy that. I also enjoy the game. It's very portable, and it's easy to play pretty much anywhere. You could play this on an airplane tray table if you wanted. And all in all, I do think it is a real brain-burning game for sure. And I also think it's very interesting, and I'm going to talk a little bit about this in a second also, seeing these people out of time. I think that is just haunting that we're seeing these people who are, well, clearly, maybe some of them are still with us, but they're not alive anymore. And these are real people who are really convicted of these crimes, or at least arrested of these crimes. And I think that's just fascinating, that slice out of history. Very, very interesting. So what are my quibbles with this game? And again, I have to preface this by saying I have only played 2-player. Now, the first thing I will say is there's something deeply dark and horrifying to me about some of these criminals, quote unquote criminals. And that is, we're looking at a bunch of people who were convicted or arrested for abortion. And I think that is just a message and a reality that can really hit close to home for a lot of people, particularly here in the United States with the fight over abortion rights, and whichever side of that debate you fall on, this type of thing could bring up bad feelings or possibly arguments. And that kind of brought down our table when we were discovering that. So it makes me feel a little wonky having that in there. Again, that might not bother you at all, but it did stick out to me. And then the second thing I'll say is, when you play 2-player, this game is just brutally, brutally hard. There were so many times when we were playing that, at the end of the day, we had no idea. We just had no clue what it was, and it just came down to, well, it's a 50-50 guess, let's hope we get it. And that's not fun if you feel like you're constantly just saying, well, I'm just going to guess here, because that's not how the game is designed. And I do think when you play with 3, 4, 5 players, you don't have that as much because you're looking around the table and you're seeing more cards and you're able to compare one person to another. But at 2-player, we were really struggling. And it did get a little easier as we went through. And the example I showed you was like, oh, well, obviously that's what it is. But I don't think that this is a game that is best at 2 players. I think if you have more players, then this can be a game that is a real great puzzle that you can play with a group. For us, it just didn't work very well as a 2-player game. And it might also be that we're just not as smart as we think we are, which is certainly possible. So, and there you have it, folks. I don't want to belabor it, but that is Fallen Angels. I think if you like deduction games, if you like hard deduction games, then this could be a good option for you. I think the mechanics of the symbols and the matching, the flipping and the turning and the informant is really, really interesting. To me, the theme is a little bit of a downer, but again, that very easily might just be me. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, check it out. It is live on Kickstarter right now. You can find the link in the description. If I made any mistakes, please let me know in the comments with a timestamp, and I'll get into the Klingon subtitles. As always, if this video was useful, please like, subscribe, or share. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.